And at some point before she took her last breath, she said she was sorry and said she shouldn't have said what she said.
Carrie Hardin was gone, and instead of calling for help, Kenneth Hardin says he panicked, dragging her body, trying to burn it, and finally burying her in the backyard. But how did he explain those choices? Well, newly released interrogation footage gives us an inside look at Hardin's chilling words, and we are going to break it all down right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Let me tell you about a case that shook Fayette County, Georgia. It started in August of last year, 2024, when a man named Kenneth Hardin Jr. made a phone call that would set off a nightmare. He called his own father and confessed something unthinkable. He said he had killed his wife, Carrie. And right after that call, Hardin didn't stick around. He fled Georgia, leaving everything behind. And his father, reeling from this confession, immediately called the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. So deputies, they rushed to the couple's home on Merlin Court, and what they found was horrifying. After a search of the property, they discovered Carrie Hardin's body, and it was clear there had been a desperate attempt to hide this crime. She had been burned and then buried in a shallow grave behind the house. And meanwhile, the hunt for Hardin was on. It became a multi-state manhunt. Law enforcement eventually are able to track him down to Louisiana, where he'd apparently just checked into a hotel in the town of Covington. They moved in, they arrested him without incident, and they brought him into custody. But what happened inside that house, right? That's the question. What led to such a brutal act? Well, I'll tell you, for months, the details were a mystery. That is until now, because we have obtained the chilling confession that Hardin gave to detectives out in Louisiana. And in his own words, he lays out his version of that violent night and the panicked cover-up that followed. You're about to hear for yourself how he described the fight that led to this killing, or at least his version of events.
She had drank a little bit of it, but then she gave it to me. It was down in my office. On the day of the incident on Monday, in front of both and she had come down to the office and we were celebrating a good day. I've been having a lot of, but the dichotomy of this is, typically the people who you are interviewing this position are not in my lifestyle. And I know that that provides more questions, and I know that leads y'all to make like certain assumptions that's probably not true, but I've been experiencing a lot of success. Like everything that I'm touching with the construction business has been panning out. And I just closed a $20,000 deal with a guy. He lives 5 minutes from the house. Supposed to build him a showroom garage, and she had heard that, so she was excited. I was excited. We were having a good time, and she like, "Can I have my liquor?" And I had lied and told her I had poured it out, but she knew I wasn't gonna pour our liquor out. So I had it in my bathroom cabinet. I went and got it. I gave it to her, and then there's a gap there. I guess people ate dinner, that kind of stuff. I know I did make some phone calls because I came downstairs. I think I was talking to the guy who gave her the liquor about the deal. And I fell asleep in my red chair. It was spun around. She busts into the room. The camera stamp will tell you when that was. I think it's about 8 or something. And asking me if I was gonna come upstairs. I'm like, what's up with the tone? Like, you been drinking? And she hate when I ask her that. Like, if I say, like, you been drinking? And we started arguing. And I'm like, here the we go, you know. I'm trying to think if I ate. I don't remember if I ate or not. So I'm sorry I can't provide that detail. I know that conversation was, that argument was rough. She hit me in the head with some metal stud thing that's in my office. And I had a pretty decent sized night. It's gone down now some. I pushed her off of me. At one point I was holding her hands. And she was saying, let me go, let me go, let me go. I'm a up, let me go. And I'm like, you gotta calm the down. And by the way, I know that's not typical for most married couples. It's typical for us. They have said we toxic or whatever. I let her up. She said a lot of but she went upstairs.
So to start it off, this was Kenneth Hardin setting the scene, describing a fight that he claims, that he says began after they had been drinking. But then this is where the story takes a dark and deadly turn, because he claims his wife, Carrie, left, came back later that night, and the argument escalated in the bedroom. By the way, talking videos like this, you may know this, but we here at Sidebar, we produce so many video clips a day, and we use a platform called Opus Clip. This may be of interest to you. It's an all-in-one AI editor that makes it easier and faster to cut, create, and upload videos across all social media platforms. Through the power of AI, Opus Clip automatically generates B-roll, it cleans up audio, and it reframes your videos for any platform. Opus Clip is so easy to start using. Let me show you how right now. All you have to do is go to opus.pro/sidebar, sign up, and then you upload a video. In just a few minutes, you will have tons of perfectly edited clips ready to go. So whether you're making videos for TikTok or Shorts or Instagram Reels, Opus Clip is your one-stop shop for getting your best content seen by more viewers across all these platforms with the press of just one button. And if you're wondering how good these AI edited videos are from Opus Clip, just look at our content here at Law&Crime. Our producers have used Opus to help us cut and share clips of some of our biggest trials. And we get them to you very fast. At Sidebar, look, we know our listeners have a lot of opinions and ideas to share, and this is the most powerful tool there is to help you edit like a pro and grow your own audience. So give it a try for yourself. Go to opus.pro/sidebar to start creating your own videos today. And here's how he describes the moment he shot her.
She calls me. It's a quick conversation at about 12:47 or so, and says that she's gonna leave and take the kids unless we have a conversation. I did not immediately get up because I already knew this was so I calmed myself, kept myself calm. I finished my drink, and then I went upstairs. When I went upstairs, I should have just turned back around and left because it was different than what our normal toxic fights was, because I saw her firearm. Where it was sitting when you went in the house is not where it was sitting. It was actually sitting on a bed, but I saw it. So I'm like what type of game is we playing here, you know? And we start arguing. She telling me she gonna take the kids. I told her, you're not taking the kids. You can take the kids over my dead body. You're not taking the kids. Have nothing to, like, why do you keep bringing up the kids? That's why I said, like, what do you keep bringing up the children for? They're not a part of what's going on. And I don't see it that way. You got me I'm tired of you. I want a divorce. You can have a divorce. You can have whatever you want to have. But you just not going to take the kids in the way you think you're going to take the kids. You're not waking them up out of their sleep like you did in January of last year. You're not doing all this with me, Carrie. I don't want to do this with you no more. Like, all this. No, it's you. I'm going to show you. And when she went to grab towards her gun, I don't know that she got her hand on it. Because when she did that, I snapped. And when I realized what was happening, I had emptied out that entire Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 2.0. And I don't know if it was 7 shots in there or 8, but I know they was all empty. She got up off of the bed, and she walked and collapsed into the sunroom. And at some point before she took her last breath, she said she was sorry. And said she shouldn't have said what she said.
A claim of self-defense followed by what he describes as an apology from his dying wife. But what happened next, that is where the story becomes truly gruesome. Because instead of calling for help, Hardin describes this state of panic he was in. He says his first thought was his children, and what he did next was to prevent them from seeing their mother's body.
And I didn't deal with that because I started panicking, because I said, I just shot my gun in my house, my wife dead, and my little boys are gonna run down here and see this. Everything you see after that is that it's not what you all were discussing on camera. And I, several times, the way that you guys were talking about it, I kind of wanted to turn around and come back. It was kind of annoying that you all couldn't see why I had did what I did. I didn't do what I did because I was trying to hide something. You can't hide what happened. It's impossible to hide it. I did what I did because I was trying to limit what my kids and would see that would lead them to understand what went on. I didn't tell them what I did. I didn't tell them what was happening, and I was trying to clean things in a way where I didn't want my sons to walk in their mother's blood, coming and knocking on my bedroom door. I didn't want them to see blood on the door. I didn't want them to see blood in the sunroom. I didn't want them to see blood on the carpet. But it was at the point where I got to the carpet where I'm like, I'm just making it worse. And I had been drinking, so I wasn't doing things that I would have done if I was sober. Because, you know, I made it appear like I'm trying to hide something, and that wasn't really the case. I said, what am I supposed to do with her body? I'm like, okay, I'll drag it outside. But then I left a blood stain coming all the way outside everywhere I dragged it. So I'm like, oh my God, now I gotta clean it up because the boys are gonna be taking the dogs out, he can see it. Or I'm gonna put the body, put it in the woods. And I'm like, my dogs are gonna go down there. Elijah's gonna follow them. I need to get rid of this. So first I tried to burn it. I ain't never did no like this. I damn near killed myself. You saw my gas can. You know, when I poured gasoline onto it, the fire came back and damn near exploded the can. Thankfully, it's got that safety mechanism. I hurried up and threw it down, and then I took it and put it where you found it, by the trailer. I eventually took that white bucket that you found. I went and got water out of the pool and stopped the fire and just let it be what it was gonna be. The fire had got so big, I'm like, at this point, my neighbors are gonna see the I came back in the house and I spent the rest of the night just cleaning blood out the sunroom and out of the bedroom. I took the kids I took a shower, and then I took the children to the bus stop, and then left while I was in transit to prepare to either take right after I took because I had an appointment they had to be at early. They left, I believe, at around 6:50 a.m. The bus picks him up at about 6:40. After was picked up, after he left for his bus, he left at about 7:20. His bus picks him up at 7:30. I went back to cleaning. And then I said to myself, I stood out on the deck and I said, from here I can see her. So I gotta do something about this. Like, I can't let these boys see it. That's the only motivation. So then, first I tried to dig a hole, and I never done that before. And I'm like, this is hard, so what's the next move? And I'm like, there's all this debris down here, I'm just put it there. I realize what I'm telling you is a crime, but I need you to understand, it's just me who did this. Nobody, none of my boys and nobody else did anything. I took her, I put wood on top of her, dirt that I could find, tried to keep from throwing up, and then I put a vertical stump there so that I could use that as a marker so I could tell Daddy where to tell you all to find the body. So when I talked to Daddy in the jail yesterday, and he said that you all told him that you couldn't find the body, I was like, I was confounded by that. But then now it makes sense why your actions are what your actions are, because you're thinking that I have her somewhere or something. That's not the case. She's exactly where I told my father that she was, behind the dog kennels, under a pile of wood, with a vertical log sitting there. So once I completed that, I finished cleaning what I felt needed to be cleaned so that I could close the door to the master bedroom. I did try and see if I could steam clean the blood on the floor. I was like, nope, can't do that. And then I sat down and faced the reality of what I had done.
It is a shocking admission. Dragging her body, trying to burn it, finally burying her under a pile of wood. But why? Throughout his confession, Hardin returned again and again to his reasons, painting a picture of a deeply troubled marriage that was filled with resentment and infidelity, and we will get to that. But after killing his wife and spending a day covering it up, Hardin knew he had to confess, but he didn't call the police. No, what did he do instead? He flies his father into Georgia, meets him at a bank, hands him over financial paperwork, essentially giving him power of attorney, and then he finally tells his father the truth. And here's how he describes that moment and the specific instruction he gave before taking off.
And then I said, I'm about to tell you something. And when I get through telling you, you must dial 911 before you leave this lot. That's exactly what I said to him. I helped him get into the Sprinter. He sat in the Sprinter. I never stood inside of the Sprinter. I looked up through the portal and I told at this point, what I need for you to do is just earnestly listen to what is about to be said. And you're going to be questioned about it, and I want you to tell the truth. Tell the truth about what you did, that you picked up Mr. Hardin Sr. from the airport, that you took him to get something to eat, that you took him to a hotel, that you picked him up from that same hotel the next morning, that you took him to PNC Bank, and that you just took him to UPS, and now I'm going to tell you something foul. And then I told him what happened. He broke down crying, and his immediate thing was, what are you going to do? And I said, Dad, you cannot focus on that right now. You got to focus on our children. You got to focus on my boys. You cannot focus on me. Do not focus on me and her. Focus on the children. That's the only thing that's important at this point. And I thought I had him in a place where he was going to be able to continue talking to me, but I abruptly ended the conversation because the man broke down crying. It was so bad that got out of the driver's seat and came and got in the back with him and started hugging him. He had strange looking like that. He was hugging him, you know. And I couldn't bear to look at that, so I just turned around, I closed the door to the Sprinter, and as I was closing it, I said, make sure that he dials 911 the second that he can talk. And he said, okay. And I closed the door, got in my car and pulled off.
You don't remember about what time that was?
No, I do. It was about 10 in the morning.
Okay.
We were at the bank until about 9:47.
We didn't get the call till after 11.
Yeah, so
that's the reason.
About 10 in the morning. Maybe he sat there for 30 minutes to an hour. Just check it.
No, we will. We will.
I told you where exactly where I was at.
Like I said, some of the things you're saying, yes, and it helps out to corroborate that. If you tell me we're at the UPS store and I don't know a time frame, then I got to look at all of it. Where if you say I think we're there around 10, I can start my search more focused. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I know what you got to do.
Was the trip west? Was the idea just to get like to Mexico, keep riding? Were you gonna go to California?
I wasn't sure what I was
gonna do. Plan?
I didn't have no plan. I just knew that I didn't know what I wanted to do, and until I found out, my head was spinning. And I hope you can understand that it's a lot that I have done.
Sure.
You've seen my home. You've seen some of where my businesses has going. What kind of guy is in this situation? That by itself is absurd, right?
Sure.
So I'm dealing with all of that. You've had a chance to, I think, at least see a picture or two of my boys.
They're good kids.
You talk to them. You see how smart they are.
They are. All right.
Come on, man. Keep it together.
Our SROs took care of them yesterday. They, you know, we don't know you. We don't know what kind of state you're in. So they actually were there. They had their own private protection and they didn't know it. And then they were reunited with your father to take care of. So they're being taken care of.
Like, it's a lot for a human being to deal with. Like, you had a bad decision that you made, and then you have the mess that it caused. And then you need to find a way, which I think God created that, but you need to find a way, or a higher power if you don't believe in God, you need to find a way to take accountability without anyone else coming to harm. And that's a big thing.
A clear, direct order. Call 911. But Hardin says that his father was so overcome with grief that he couldn't immediately make the call.
And the reason I was trying to GPS my way out of Georgia is because I know as long as I sit in Georgia, I'm being recorded. Because Georgia is a state that records an awful lot. And I'm like, whatever decision I make, I don't want to make it here because I'm going to be recorded and they're going to be upon me before I have decided what I want to do. You know, actually I regret to a certain degree even getting the plate because that made me stop. And I got the plate, and then now I'm thinking something that's true that's not true. I'm thinking I got time, but I don't have any time. You know, and until you make a decision, you gotta continue to move forward.
Right.
And that's what I should have did, because I knew OnStar was gonna be my undoing. You can't rip the OnStar out the car, so I knew that would be my undoing. Right. You know, and I knew as long as I kept my gas trips to less than 5 minutes, and I'm mobile, it's unsafe for you all to have OnStar to deactivate that vehicle while it's in drive. So that was my plan. I don't know what I intended on doing. I talked about potentially Mexico, and then I'm like, well, that means I would have to walk across the desert. And I don't know if I'm prepared to do that. Can't passport my way in there.
Right.
So I hadn't made a final decision on that. And I apologize that I don't have a better answer for you. I didn't know what I was gonna do.
But that is an answer. And to me, that sounds more honest than if you just blankly say, I want to see Utah. You know what I mean? What you say in that situation makes sense. Someone who's going from sad to mad to hysterical to sad to remembering something happy. I'm quite certain all of those things were going on. And in addition to all that, if I get caught now, I can't figure out what tomorrow is. So if I keep moving, I'm going to be able to try to play something out in my head. That makes sense.
Right.
I understand.
It was the movement that was creating the momentum.
Right.
I'm gonna move.
Right.
And I knew I made the right decision because I was monitoring. Like, I didn't understand why it took so damn long for Dad to get to the house. I didn't understand why it took so long for y'all to respond.
We were actually there pretty quick from the call to when we got there.
Oh, okay.
It was.
So in my head, I'm working it from the time that I left. I'm thinking the call happened right then. So it's like, why didn't I see Fayette County like pulling up immediately?
Right.
But then what confirmed that I had made the correct decision was when you all went to secure the home. When you came in the triangle, I'm like, I made the right decision today. Because if they had done that while I was here, I can't promise that I'd have been like, okay, I'm coming out with my hands up.
Sure.
Because I'm not in that mindset at that point because I'm in my castle now. You're invading in my arena, you know, this is my, you know, like I knew that was going to be in my, that it was going to be in me.
Sure.
I'm not saying that I wanted to do something, but I know that would have been in me. That's why I wanted to get away from it.
Sure.
You know, and I told him not to go in the house.
Throughout his confession, Hardin kept returning to one central theme, the why. And it seemed like he was building a case, not just admitting a crime, that he wanted the detectives to understand that in his mind, the murder wasn't cold-blooded, but it was the tragic endpoint of years of what he says was infidelity and humiliation. And he claims the trouble began years earlier with this shooting at Magic City Strip Club, a shooting that he claims left him injured, and he ended up meeting someone there that he started an affair with. Eventually, he says his wife, Carrie, discovered what was going on, but he also says that Carrie was cheating on him as well. And this is how he explained the deep-seated motives behind his actions.
I got shot in Magic City, taking her family members out for the night. I chose a lot of other different places. But the reason we ended up in Magic City because I was on the side dating a young lady that works at the club. I ended up in a relationship with this woman because of some behaviors that Carrie exhibited from the span of 2018 up until the present. That is the catalyst for most of our arguments. It's either me talking to her about the hurt that she caused me. It's essentially like to witness and see, and then it's something that's made fun of, especially in light of my injury to my penis. And then my reaction to that, where I had this relationship with this young lady. And we were in a very volatile time because she was doing what she was doing in front of me and in front of some of my family. And so I felt it only right to do the same. So it's an iPad in my bathroom. The reason that iPad is sitting there is because I had once upon a time had my phone connected to that. So everything that took place on my phone, Carrie could see. And I know how women are, they're gonna get nosy and investigate some stuff. And she would go and look at that. She saw where I was at. She knew that I was seeing this young lady, and she didn't say nothing about it for months and months. And I felt kind of like I got judged by getting shot. What was interesting is after I got shot, and I'm at the hospital, and Carrie had my phone, and she had my Apple Watch. She went through my Apple Watch and read a lot of that was in my phone. When I woke up from surgery, she was standing over me with a look, and I'm like, okay, so she knows now. And we came home, and she said, I just want to know why. And I told her, I said, you've hurt me bad. And she said, well, I didn't think it was a problem because it's with another woman. And I'm like, nah, it's still a problem because it's not something you and I mutually agreed to. I'm just having to deal with it because you feel like it's something that I like. And I said, I told you that it hurt me and you continue to do it. And I said, the times that you did what you did at the club in front of my family members on multiple occasions with pictures and all this it was beyond the pale. Well, why don't you just leave me? Because I love you. And I'm forgiving you about it, but I'm having trouble getting over it. Like, I don't want to leave you, but I need you to know that it hurt me.
So you have this detailed story of marital turmoil, jealousy, revenge, and after laying out all of that as his reason why, Kenneth Hardin then made his final plea. And it wasn't for forgiveness, but it was for what he called clarity, in the hopes that his family wouldn't suffer further for his crimes.
I hope that this conversation has helped to, I'm not trying to paint myself any kind of way, but I hope it provides enough clarity to put some of this suspicion about what I've done and why to bed, so that it doesn't bring additional harm to my family members.
So Kenneth Hardin was charged with felony murder, and he actually ended up pleading guilty to that, as well as other charges, and he would later be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, meaning he will die behind bars. But that wasn't all, because he also received an additional 10-year sentence for concealing Carrie's death and a 5-year sentence for possessing a firearm during the commission of the felony. Just a really, really disturbing series of events. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can follow me on Instagram or X. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll see you next time.